Hey everybody, it's Jade with Metabolic Effect. Got a question from one of our participants about fasting. They're hearing an awful lot about the idea of intermittent or alternating fasting for fat loss, and they wanted to know what Metabolic Effect's take is on that. So I thought I'd do a quick video just to kind of give you the basics about how to think about fasting. Fasting can be an extremely beneficial fat loss aid, but you have to be a little bit careful about fasting. We really do not recommend fasting for beginning fat loss seekers. We really see it as an advanced fat loss technique, not something that you really want to be thinking about when you first start this. Part of the reason why is that when you fast, you really should have a balanced metabolism, because the compensatory eating reactions of hunger, cravings, and energy fluctuations can cause us to eat more food and want more food and crave sugary, salty, and fatty foods. And for those of us who are beginning this lifestyle, really those things can be insatiable and really cause us to crave and run off our diet. So many people have started the day planning on doing a fast and end up binging on pizza and burgers and that kind of stuff later in the day. And that is very, very prevalent, especially in those overweight or obese individuals who have blood sugar regulation disorders to begin with. However, for those of you who are advanced fat loss seekers and are trying to lose that last little bit and get extra lean, intermittent fasting can be a really important tool. So here are the best ways to kind of do this. First, before I go into that, I want to tell you a little bit about what fasting does. There's a difference between short-term fasting of 24 hours or less versus a little longer-term fasting. Fasting, in fact, is actually interesting. A lot of people don't realize that fasting has some of the same hormonal benefits as short-duration, high-intensity exercise. So it will raise growth hormone, is one of the things that fasting will do and can be beneficial, just like high-intensity, short-duration exercise does. And it also lowers insulin the same way that high-intensity, short-duration exercise does. So in that sense, it could be beneficial. But like I said, these compensatory reactions can really get you and cause problems. One of the ways that we like to do intermittent fasting, and one of the best clinical ways to do this, is simply don't try to do it during the day. Do it at night. So one of the things that we do is we have our clients do 10 to 14-hour fasts at night. And really right around 12, 14 hours is where you're going to get the best results. So what you would do is stop eating at 8 p.m. the previous night and have your first meal at 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. the following day. So most of that fasting period happens at night where you're without food. That can be extremely beneficial, and really that really is the primary way we do it in our clinic, because as effective as intermittent fasting can be for almost the majority of our clients, it really is not a long-term strategy for fat loss because they simply cannot do it. What we found is that lean, fit individuals are the most likely to be able to do this because they have balanced metabolisms, and even they struggle with this concept. So that's the first way. Simply do it at night. And one of the benefits of that is you can also do a low intensity exercise like walking first thing in the morning on an empty stomach before your first meal in that fasting state. One of the other things that you can do is you can do what is known as modified fasting. So a lot of people think when they think fast, they think completely without food, but there's certain foods that are not calorie based at all and are more water and fiber based. And some of those foods include things like cucumbers, celery, fiber supplements, greens and reds drinks, and things like that. And so what we often like to do is when we do utilize a fast, either for fat loss purposes or because we're working with a patient or client who is dealing with, toxicity issues where we want to incorporate a fast, what we'll do is we'll have them eat only certain foods like lettuce, celery, cucumbers, very high vegetable foods that are water-based and fiber-based with not a whole lot of calories. So they are getting a little bit of calories, they are getting a little bit of bulk, they're feeling like they're eating, so their cravings and hunger are not so insatiable, but they're really not having calories. That's the other way to do that as well. Now, the final way to do that is kind of a combination. What you can do is fast only part of the day. So in other words, fast all day and then have a meal at night. And that's another way that you can do that, kind of these three situations. One done at night, which is the preferred mechanism of doing it, 12 to 14 hours at night. One done where you're fasting, but you're also having these non-calorie based high water foods like celery, cucumbers, etc. And the other way is basically fasting all day and having one meal at night. Now you can imagine most of our society does that anyway. We have these little tiny meals throughout the day, and then we have this big, huge meal at night. So really, these are the three ways we do it, but you got to be careful with that last meal because a lot of people will just binge like crazy on that last meal. The final thing we'll say is for those of you who are trying intermittent fasting and haven't been able to get the fat loss results you want because of these cravings and energy lows, the addition of branched chain amino acids within that fasting time period can be extremely beneficial because what branched chain amino acids do is they can be converted into alanine and glutamine, which can be made into blood sugar to stabilize blood sugar, stabilize cravings, and stabilize hunger. So branched chain amino acids, 5 grams to 10 grams taken every 4 to 6 hours during a fasting period can be a hugely beneficial response. So to sum up, really, this is not something you want to do if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, what you want to be doing is eating more of the right foods more often to get your body stable, to heal the metabolic processes in a more gentle way. And then as you go along on this fat loss journey and you want to take it further, intermittent fasting may be something that you want to do. But for most people, this is not a lifestyle they can live long term. So it's something you may want to use here and there. But hopefully that answers some questions about intermittent fasting. There's several different ways of doing it. I just wanted to highlight the basics and answer that question. So hopefully that's helpful for you, and we'll talk to you next time.